Hello again, I am Gibson Shamar from Hikati Media, and I welcome you to the LA's Finest Talk. Never heard of the show? It wasn't very popular, but it got the job done, showcasing Jessica Alba in all her glory and beauty. Man, she's really attractive. We might or might not get into that. Preferably not, because then the video will never end. Later on. As of now, we're going to talk about LA's Finest. You know how the videos go. We'll talk about the characters first, then the show itself, offering our thoughts on it and some insight into the background dealings. We'll kick off with the main character, Sydney Burnett, Sid for short. She's a very elegant, very nice, very alluring, very enchanting, very... Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Where was I? Oh, yes. She's a detective working in Los Angeles, transferred from Miami. She's tough, intense, resilient, and driven. She has the same hair color as I do. She also likes the same type of ice cream that she owns, as well as different kinds. Next up, Nancy McKenna, formerly Nancy Perez. She's a detective too, and was a Marine in the past. Man, I need to take a break for a bit. Okay, I'm back. We were talking about Nancy McKenna. She's the less intense one of the duo. She's equally driven in the pursuit of justice and safety, and is a stepmother. She's married to Patrick McKenna, who eventually becomes an interim district attorney. She tries to get involved in her stepdaughter's life, but she's a Generation Z warrior. Yeah, she's sometimes sarcastic, witty, and has deep care for those around her, especially her younger brother. She's athletic and kind of conservative with herself, always trying to play it cool instead of just getting wild and going all out. We have Ben Baines, one half of the Bens, like Sid calls them. He has the same hair color as I do. He's a cool guy. He's the comic relief because he's always scared of some really bizarre thing happening to him, and it usually does. He usually has bizarre stories to tell, too. He's a loving father and a husband. He has a teenage son who has a crush on Isabel McKenna. When trouble comes around, he's always ready for action and will do his job diligently. He's a hard, determined officer of the law. Ben Walker. He's the other half of the Bens. He doesn't have the same hair color as I do. He's a calm and collected guy who tries to be the more mature one of the duo. He usually is, but still gets caught up in nonsense and in conversations that show the opposite. He takes his job seriously and isn't quite as loose as the other characters, even when situations get out of control. He really just tries to keep his life and things around him simple. He's also married and eventually has a child of his own. Patrick McKenna. This guy's the upstanding citizen that many of the characters wish that they could be. He's Nancy's husband and an assistant district attorney. He's passionate and loves his wife and daughter dearly. He has a difficult relationship with his daughter due to her activism. He smiles at it and is generally proud that his daughter is intelligent and is doing things for herself. He tries very hard to balance his professional life with his personal life. His personal life also has parts that need balancing. His new marriage to a woman who is not the mother of his child, and his daughter, who is a teenage girl in the 2010s. That was no easy feat. He's naive and thinks that problems can be solved simply when looking at the law, but as the show goes on, he starts to see just how dirty the system is, and how much it's rigged to keep someone from ascending without getting their hands dirty. Then there's Isabel McKenna. Yeah, this one's a tough one. She's tough because she's always ready to start some sort of argument. She's the usual whiny, entitled, smart-mouthed, condescending know-it-all that teenagers tend to be these days. No shots at Gen Z, but you guys are a lot to handle a lot of the time. Other than that, she actually cares for the people around her and is dealing with traumatic experiences which no child should have to witness. She watched her mother die right in front of her, and the killer left them there. She was arrested, but Isabel didn't see that as enough. She wanted more. Isabel is always on the pursuit of justice and doesn't like unresolved issues, even though she's the one who has problems with expressing her problems with people. Finally, we have Joseph Vaughn. He's Sydney's father. Consequently, he's Marcus's dad. You know Marcus Burnett from Bad Boys 1 to 4. He's an ex cop and has a distant, difficult relationship with his children due to the separation with their mother, which happened when they were very young. Of course, he tries to make amends when he's older and does his very best at it. He's a cheerful guy, worrisome and protective. He's willing to do just about anything in order to help his daughter out of situations, or just help her with cases through advice, or even straight up getting involved. He's the cool cop dad one wishes they could have. So, now that we've gone through the main characters, let's have a look at what the show has to offer us. The show talks about a couple of female cops who are operating in Los Angeles, California, USA. They come across all sorts of police cases that need solving, all while living their best lives as buddy cops who know when to get up to no good on their own. The show is nice and is a welcome addition to the Bad Boys films. Yes, this show is a part of that universe. I know. Weird, right? Those movies had a spin off show? Who knew? I certainly didn't. I saw an advert for the show once on TV and had no idea it was related to the films. Then one day, I believe I was looking up Jessica Alba for a certain movie I saw her in, and this show came up in her filmography. I was like, an action show where she plays a main character? Sign me up. And she's partnered up with Gabrielle Union? Boy, oh boy, sign me up. It was a thrilling ride, but then again, what do you expect from something coming out of the Bad Boys universe? And that's just the thing. The show, at least in the first season, was trying to emulate the movies and be its own thing at the same time. The way the scenes were shot, the way the story went, the over dramatization of simple things, it all screamed Michael Bay. They even had the whole 360 spin camera thing that they did when the captain was briefing them on a mission. And here I am sitting, watching the show, being impressed by how much they try to bring up the familiarity of the movies. It's just that they try to be their own thing at the same time, and it kind of mixed things up and confused us as to what style the show would be. Michael Bay's style is larger than life, dramatic, unforgettable, immeasurable. This show's style tried to make it tame while giving us larger than life hints. It doesn't work that way, pal. Unfortunately, I can't show many of these things because they're mostly in the first season, and that season's episodes were in a format that my editing software doesn't support. Only the second season's episodes were in a good format for my editor. Remember that being based in Africa severely limits our flexibility when it comes to getting appropriate versions of shows and stuff. We don't get them on TV anymore, so we have to resort to other totally legal means in order to have access to them if they're not on Netflix. At least in my country, it's like that. The pacing of the show was alright as well. It was paced just fast enough for its short seasons, although some of the things in the story could have been stretched out for longer. In the first season, the main bad guy was Gabriel Knox, and the secondary villain was Nancy's ex from her days before becoming a Marine. Back when she was Nancy Perez, she was a criminal. She's over that now. The story ends with her ex getting away and doesn't show up in season 2. I'm guessing that they thought they'd get more seasons. Everyone always thinks that. Not many are lucky enough to follow their thoughts through to conclusion. Shame. Anyway, the acting was alright. I'm not very good at identifying acting ability, but I can sometimes call it out when it's terrible. And we don't get any terrible acting from anyone in this show. What we do get that's not really nice in some storylines that are brought up and not really expanded upon. For example, Sydney started dating Captain Calloway in between seasons, and we find this out in the epilogue of season two's premiere. I thought it was going to lead to some very interesting stories and character dynamics down the line, but it didn't. It started out of nowhere, it didn't go anywhere, it didn't do anything for the story at all. It just happened. While I agree that not everything needs to develop into a storyline, and even if it does, it doesn't have to be impactful to the main story, it feels kind of a waste seeing the relationship be like that. What exactly was the point of it happening? At least her habit of sleeping with random females she comes across, with one recurring one, added to her character. We got to see more of who she is when it's not about the main story. But that relationship? Nope, not at all. I thought that maybe he'd turn out to be a bad guy or that her breakup with him would make her quit the LAPD or something, or add some sort of new direction for her to choose in life. You know, the usual stuff. But no, it wasn't part of the grand design after all. Again, that's a shame. We also get the part about Sid making amends with her father. That part of the story was nice. We don't get the full details about what happened, but we get just enough of the backstory to know that he at least tried to be there for the family, but his ex wife wouldn't let him approach their children. We know that he was disloyal to her and had a child with someone else. When he explained, or at least tried to, why he did everything he did, there was a line that stuck to me that was never brought up or questioned. He asked her if she knew who was paying for everything the family had, and it was implied that his ex wife was the one who was taking credit for everything he was doing. That was never addressed at all. I felt bad for him when that happened. At least Sid forgave him eventually, but then what was missing was Marcus. The ever so explosive Marcus. Apparently, after Bad Boys 2 and before season 1 of this show, they met and it was not pretty. It would have been very nice to see Martin Lawrence appear in the show just to show that he made peace with Joseph. There's no good show without missed opportunities. I like the banter between Sid and Nancy. I also like that there wasn't really a girl power mindset when making this show. It was just about cops that happened to be of the opposite sex. They have their issues, they handle their own way sometimes, and it works in the show's favor. One thing I did dislike was Sid's hypocrisy. You can't have a dedicated, determined character without them being a hypocrite. She's been a hypocrite many times and has broken the law in ways that scream entitlement. I was like, yeah, I guess, but there were better ways for you to do this. She straight up committed arson and gets mad at Nancy for withholding information that could endanger her brother but could end up being helpful if used right. Yeah, that wasn't a good look. Either way, it was part of the character's design. You can't have characters whose only negative flaws are that they care too much about everyone or that they carry the weight of the world on their shoulders on their own and think that that's compelling and relatable. We need characters with actual flaws, not the too much good, it becomes a negative factor kind of flaws, but actual flaws. And Sid's was being a hypocrite. Isabel tried so hard to be relevant in society that it would annoy me. But I'm guessing age and experience have taught me to be patient with this kind of thing. Plus, everything she does is so inconsequential that it can be ignored by even hardcore cynics. The one time she royally messed up was when she got herself kidnapped along with Ben Bain's son. Yeah, that was a bit too much, and she deserved reprimanding for that. Of course, she didn't get any, and it all ended well. Then there's the Patrick thing. Once he finalized the separation from Nancy, I knew his relevance to the plot was diminished. Yeah, his goodbye episode was very sad. It hit hard. I don't understand how he got so far in his career without seeing the dark side of pursuing a career in law. Whenever I saw him, I'd go like, this guy could be a good casting for Duke in a G.I. Joe reboot movie. He's got the look and the voice. He also looks like Chris Evans, Sam Worthington, and Channing Tatum, all three of whom auditioned for the role. Well, this show is 7 years old now, but one can still hold out hope that the actors look as young as they did when they filmed it. As enjoyable as the show was, it didn't really hit the right spot with critics and viewership was low. The viewership was so low that it was the main reason the show was cancelled after 2 seasons. It's a shame too. It was going places and had just found its identity. Season 1 is experimental. It did what it set out to do, but Season 2 cemented itself. And the way the season ended, wow. I wanted to see where it was going. But alas, it wasn't meant to be. Just like Mike and Sid, even though they looked very good together. It's like poetry. It rhymes. I didn't have a favorite character, but I did have a favorite episode, or favorite arc. It was when Ben Walker was kidnapped. The show was showing us how real it could get, and when he was kidnapped, I felt all the tension that the characters were feeling and was genuinely worried about his survival chances. Those episodes were well done in my book. I also liked the way Nancy's ex boyfriend Dante escaped in season 1, clearly for a return at a future point in the show, and we'd already know the extensive backstory that they have. We never got to see that payoff either. Man, what a goldmine of missed opportunities. But I understand not many people were watching the show. If people don't watch it, it means it can't get any money to keep itself running, and it must be taken off the air. They could have at least featured Sid in the movies, man. Well, that's it for me about LA's Finest. The show was fine. It benefited a little from its R rating. It didn't really need one, but we take what we can get. Perhaps that influenced the viewership. We'll never know exactly what happened. Once more, I am Gibson Shamar from Hekati Media, and I thank you for having watched this video. Please check out our Facebook page, our Instagram page, and our blog for more cool content. We're still growing, but we need your help to do so. Have a good day.